Alright guys, I am back yet again with another deck profile for Cardfight Vanguard Dear Days on Nintendo Switch. This time we got version 2 of my Brandt Gate Welstra Blitz Industry deck. So version 2, everything through the additional special set, so through a fraction of the booster set 11. However, once again, this deck doesn't use anything from the last DLC pack, so you can just play it with cards up through the second additional card pass. And this deck has received quite a very nice upgrade. It has not one but 2 new product orders, as well as a new battle phase operator, which means the deck can now potentially pull off up to 5 attacks per turn. So as always, we'll be going through the deck real fast, and then we'll show it off in one card fight for you to see it in action. So starting first with the ride deck, we have our grade 0 starter, which is Blitz Mechanic Vorten. So when it's rolled upon, if you will second, draw a card, same old starter skill. Next up for the grade 1, we have Blitz Programmer Strazer. So he has his auto ability that says when this unit is rolled upon, you search your deck or hand for up to 1 grade 1 product card, put it into your order zone, and if you searched your deck, shuffle your deck. If you put a card from your hand, draw a card. So it just gets you a guaranteed product order into play when you ride over top of him, one of your 2 different grade 1 products that we're running in this deck now. So just a free +1 to your order zone, and even if you already have the card you want to put into play in hand, you do get to draw to replace it. So either way, you will gain some card advantage off this skill. Next for the grade 2. We have Blitz Technology Researcher Uber. So he has an activate ability that says once per turn, you can Soul Blast 1 to choose a product from your order zone and operate it. So all the product cards have an ability that is activated when they are operated. So this lets you use one of those products' abilities during your main phase, most likely the ability of the one that you put into play with Strazer's ability. So then he also has his auto skill that says when this unit is rolled upon, you put a product from your order zone into drop. To search your deck or hand for up to 1 grade 2 product card, put it into your order zone, and if you searched your deck, shuffle your deck. If you put a card from your hand, draw a card. So this lets you replace any product in your order zone with a new grade 2 product card, again either from your deck or hand. So most likely you'll be sending the one that you put into your order zone off of Strazer's ability, the grade 1 product, and replacing it with one of the 2 different grade 2 products we have now. Most likely Fryshuts if you don't already have it in your hand. But again, even if you do want to play a product from your hand, you do get to draw to replace it. So this one doesn't net you any card advantage since you're losing a product and replacing it with another. But it will at least let you maintain your hand if you do have to put one from hand. So then lastly for the grade 3, we have Blitz CEO Welstra. So he has 2 auto abilities. First one says when this unit attacks a Vanguard, you choose a product from your order zone and operate it. And then his second auto ability says when you operate a product, this unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn. So a very simple Vanguard overall. He just lets you operate a product when you attack with him. So usually you want to operate Fryshuts maximum in order to get that extra attack out of it. But every time you operate a product through either his own ability or through one of your rearguard's abilities, he will gain an extra 5k. So that power gain will stack if you operate multiple products in one turn. So you should be able to beef your Vanguard up to a decent amount every turn, and hopefully get at least 4 attacks in using maximum, which will also allow you to weaken your opponent's Vanguard's power as well. So overall, just a very simple Vanguard for the deck, but pretty nice nonetheless. So that is the ride deck. Moving on to the main deck. First off for the grade 3s, we of course have our 3 additional copies of Welstra, the double frame rare, looking very nice for our Persona ride purposes. Next up, we have 3 copies of our first product set order, Mobile Fortress of Obliteration, Fryshuts Maximum. So it has a continuous ability that says you cannot play this card. So that stops you from just playing it normally from your hand. You have to get it into your order zone through your other card's abilities. But then it has its Operate ability, which is an auto skill. That says when this card is operated, you choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it, choose one of your opponent's vanguards, and it gets power minus 5,000 until end of turn. And then you can counterblast one and return a rear guard to your hand, and call this card as a power 23,000 critical 1 normal unit to an open rear guard circle. And if you called a card, you put that unit into the order zone at the end of turn. So this is the main powerhouse product of the deck. When you operate it, you get to retire one of your opponent's rear guards and also weaken their Vanguard by 5k for that turn. And then if you pay the additional cost of the counterblast and the bounce, you do get to call this card as a unit card to your rear guard circle as a 23,000 power beat stick. So that means if you operate this during the battle phase through either Welstra's ability or the ability of one of our new rear guards, you will be able to get potentially 4 attacks per turn, possibly 5 if you can have 2 copies of this in your order zone and be able to resolve both those battle phase operating skills. So definitely a key card of the deck. If you operate it during the main phase, you still can get that retire and that power reduction. You can get the superior call during the main phase. Of course, if you do that, you won't get any extra attacks out of it. So you usually want to save the superior call part for the battle phase, but if you're desperate to build a board, you still have that option as well. But yeah, definitely a key card of the deck. It does take a little bit of setup to get into play, but it's a little bit easier to do now than before as well. So very, very nice card. So that is actually all the grade 3s, so moving on to the grade 2s. First off, we have 2 copies of Blitz Secretary Perfay. So she has her auto ability that says when this unit is placed on rear guard circle, you can counterblast one and put a grade 2 or greater set order from drop on the bottom of the deck and draw a card. So just a basic drawing ability. Again, it does require a little bit of setup since you gotta get a grade 2 or greater set order into your drop zone in order to send it back to the bottom. So if you draw into any copies of your maximums or whatever early on, you can potentially discard those for your ride deck and then cycle them back to deck to get the draw off of this and then search them out with some of our other cards. So not necessarily a vital card by any means. I did keep it in mostly because I like her artwork and just to have that little bit of extra draw power. But yeah, if you want to replace this card with something else, you can feel free to do so. So next up, we got 2 copies of Blitz Accounting Department Head Sordio. So he has his auto ability that says when you operate Mobile Fortress of Obliteration, Fry Shuts Maximum, if you did not countercharge this turn, you can Soul Blast one and countercharge one. So this deck can get extremely counterblast heavy, especially if you're going for the 5 attack combo with maximum, since calling both of them will each cost a counterblast. So this is actually one of 2 different countercharge engines we have in this deck, in order to keep that cost down as much as possible. It does cost a soul, which the deck can get a little Soul Blast heavy too sometimes, but it can manage its soul a lot better than its counterblasts. So having this as an option to refund some of those resources is very helpful. And of course, if you have this unit out on your board and you're going to bounce it back to your hand to pay for maximum's cost, you still will be able to resolve this skill before you do so. So just a helpful resource management card in this deck. So next up we have 1 copy of Blitz Security Vakten. So he has his auto ability that says when this unit is put on Guardian Circle, if you have a product in your order zone, this unit gets shield plus 5,000 until end of that battle. So again, this is another optional card. I am mostly just running him because I love his artwork. He's a wolf with a trucker hat, and that's just cool to me. So he's a 10k shield, nothing real special, but you can get that extra shield power guarding with him from your hand or by intercepting with him. So I did keep him in as a 1 of. Again, if you want to replace this with something else, you can feel free to do so. So next up we have 4 copies of Operate Master Freiheit. So he has 2 auto skills. First one says when this unit is placed on rear guard circle, If your order zone has a set order, you can counterblast one and discard a card from hand. To search your deck for up to one card with the same card name as your Vanguard or up to one product card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. And if you have a Vanguard with Welstra in its card name, you choose up to one product card from your hand and put it into the order zone. So this is the card that ended Start's whole career, since this ability does allow you to get Freischütz Maximum into play, bypassing its cannot be played skill, and this lets you do it a lot easier than Start's ability did, since this one can let you search it out of your deck directly and then immediately put it into play. Or if you already have a copy of it in your hand, you can also search out a Persona Ride copy to set up your plays for next turn. So a very versatile card. It is another counterblast cost, which, like I said, it can get kind of counterblast heavy, but this is one of the most important skills that you want to be playing very consistently to be able to get that maximum into play as soon as possible. This is actually the only way to get maximum into play on turn 3, so you definitely want to do that if you can to try to get 4 attacks that turn. You can potentially get 5 on turn 3 if you have 2 copies of this, but again, that requires a little bit of setup and, of course, more resources. So you want to at least play 1 of this to get those 4 attacks on turn 3, which this skill doesn't plus any since you have to discard 1 and then you grab 1 from your deck. But being able to toolbox from your deck like that and get your key combo pieces is a very important skill. And of course, being able to bypass Maximum's cannot be played skill is super vital as well. So just an extremely important ability. And then he also has a second auto skill that says when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have a Vanguard with Welstra in its card name, you can Soul Blast 2 to choose a product from your order zone and operate it. So this card is also the new Battle Phase operator that I mentioned before. So this card is absolutely one of the best cards in the deck now. So this ability will let you operate another product during your battle phase when he attacks, in addition to the product you get to operate off of Welstra's ability. So that means if you can get 2 copies of Maximum into your order zone, you can attack with your other rear guard besides this card, whatever it is in your front row. Attack with it, attack with this card, and if you operate Maximum, you can bounce your other front row rear guard back to your hand to Superior Call Maximum. And then when you attack with Welstra, you can bounce this card back to your hand for Maximum's cost and Superior Call it to the circle this card was on. So that will give you your full 5 attack combo for that turn. Now, again, that will cost quite a bit of resources since you'll have to Soul Blast 2 for this card's skill, and then you'll have to Counter Blast twice for both of the Maximum's abilities. So kind of a resource heavy play, but it can give you some very dangerous offense. And of course it will bounce this card back to your hand, along with your other front row rear guard. So that means your front row will be emptied out during your opponent's turn, potentially protecting your units, and possibly allowing you to use this card's on-call skill again next turn. So absolutely one of the most important cards in this deck, a definite 4 of, since it not only lets you grab your key combo pieces from your deck and get them into play, but it also lets you do your main attack combo now as well. So next up, we got 3 copies of our next product set order, Assault Flight Carrier Lubitzal. So it has 2 auto abilities. First one says when this card is put into the order zone, if you have a Vanguard with Blitz in its card name, you draw a card and Soul Charge 1. So this is one of the new product cards we have in this deck now, and this first skill is extremely helpful, letting you draw a card every time you put this card into play. So that'll work if you put it in play from your deck using your ride line skills, or if you just play it normally from your hand. So it's more draw power, and it also lets you soul charge. So building up that soul is obviously very important since we want to use Freiheit's Soul Blast 2 ability every turn. So we do go through quite a bit of soul in this deck. So gaining that resource and more cards in your hand, definitely a very important skill. And then it also has its operate ability, which is another auto skill that says when this card is operated, if it is your main phase, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck to choose up to 1 unit card from among them with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard, call it to rearguard circle, and shuffle your deck. and if it is your battle phase, you draw a card. So we get two different effects depending on what time you operate this card. If you operate it during the main phase, you get a top 5 superior call, so potentially helping you build a board. Of course, you have that RNG factor there of finding something good in the top 5. But, you know, being able to dig for some of your combo pieces still can be nice. And then if you operate it during your battle phase, you just get a simple draw. So more cards in your hand, always a nice thing. And of course, all these abilities are cost-free. So if you don't have the resources to get the superior call of FuRyu Maximum, you can just operate this card instead to get a draw. Or if it's, you know, just turn 3 and you don't have a second copy of Maximum set up, you can also operate this off of Welstra skill to gain that extra draw power as well. So overall, just an extremely helpful card in this deck. One that you definitely want to get into play as much as possible. So then lastly for the grade 2s, we just have one copy of our other product set order, Heavy Strike Cannon Fortress FuRyu. So again, it has its operate ability, which is its auto skill. Says when this card is operated, you choose one of your opponent's front row rear guards and retire it. And if you did not retire a card, you choose one of your opponent's Vanguards, and it gets power minus 5,000 until end of turn. And then it has a second auto ability when it's in your order zone that says when your grade 3 or greater Vanguard is placed by riding from a grade 3, you put this card into your drop to search your deck or hand for up to one Mobile Fortress of Obliteration, FuRyu Maximum. Put it into your order zone, and if you searched your deck, shuffle your deck, and if you put a card from your hand, draw a card. So I still am running one copy of the original FuRyu. Its operate skill doesn't get used a ton, because most of the time you're better off just operating Lubitz or FuRyu Maximum if you have it in play, since even during the main phase, Maximum's ability would still be better than this, even if you don't use the superior call option, since this only gives you a retire or a power drain on their Vanguard, while Maximum will give you both. So the operate part of the ability isn't used as often. It's mostly here for its second auto skill in order to get another copy of Maximum into play. So this allows you to grab another Maximum from either your hand or deck when you Persona Ride on turn 4. So if you only have one copy of FuRyu and you use his skill to get one copy of Maximum into your order zone, if you search this card out off of your ride line and already have it set up, then when you Persona Ride the next turn, you can go ahead and use this ability to get that second copy of Maximum into play without having to use FuRyu again. So that's mainly what it's here for, just to set up that double Maximum play, which if you're using this card to achieve that, the earliest you'll be able to do that is turn 4, but most of the time it's going to be turn 4 for that play anyway. So I do have it here mostly for that purpose. Like I said before, this card is usually the one that I search out of my deck off of Uber's ability, and then I just play Lubitz from my hand if I have one in my hand. If I don't have either one in my hand, I usually go for Lubitz because it's probably more important overall. But yeah, if you draw into at least one copy of Lubitz, you can search this out off the ride line to set up that play for later. So I still like doing that. If you want to take this card out and just put in a 4th copy of Lubitz, you do have that option, but I prefer keeping this in as a one of. So that's all the grade 2s. Moving on to the grade 1s. First off, we have 2 copies of Blitz Mechanic Iskra. So she has her activate ability that says if you did not operate a product this turn, you can counterblast one and rest this unit to choose a product from your order zone and operate it. So this is your main phase operator now in this deck, so it can let you operate any of your products during the main phase. She does have to rest herself and pay another counterblast cost in order to do that, so you won't be able to boost with her the same turn that you use this ability. And again, the counterblast cost can get a little high, but if you have the resources to pay it, this can give you another operation of Maximum to take out another one of their rear guards and reduce their power even further. So potentially, if you can use this ability and then do your double operate during the battle phase, you could possibly get your opponent's Vanguard's power down into the negative. So that's always a fun play to go for. or it can just be a way to get, you know, one of your other products operated to get a superior call off a Lubitz or what have you. And of course it will power up Welstra by another 5k as well. So yeah, I did just keep her in as a 2 of to give us that main phase operation option. So next we got 3 copies of Detonation Monster Bobble Mine. So its auto ability says at the end of the battle this unit boosted, if your order zone has a set order, you put this unit into your soul and countercharge 1. So this is the other countercharge engine for the deck, also a soul charge engine as well, since you put him into soul for this cost. So it is a -1, but this deck pluses pretty well anyway, so it's not a huge deal. And you get 2 resources out of it, both of which can be kind of heavy in this deck. So definitely worth the cost, and helping you extend those plays further and further with those extra resources. So next up we have our Sentinels. So first off we have 3 copies of Planet Wall Dragon, just your standard Perfect Guard, as well as 1 copy of the Blitz Order Elementaria Sanctitude, which you can play without paying the cost if your opponent's Vanguard has triple drive. So next we have our new set order product, 1 copy of Mobile Kennel Eingarten. So again, it has 2 auto abilities. First one says when this card is put from hand or order zone into drop during your turn, you put this card into order zone or soul. So this is a pretty versatile ability. If you put it into your order zone off your ride line skill and then send it from order zone to drop for Uber's ability, you can immediately put this card back into your order zone or into your soul. Also, if you just draw into this card and you discard it from your hand for your ride deck or whatever, again, you can put it back into order zone or into your soul. So if you put it back into your order zone, you can potentially reuse its operate skill again later in the game. But most of the time I end up just shoving it into my soul for that extra resource, since, like I said, you do soul blast a ton in this deck, especially for, you know, Freiheit skill. So most of the time for me, this first ability is just a way to gain that extra soul resource. But then it also has its Operate auto skill that says when this card is operated, you call this card as a power 10,000 critical 1 normal unit with boost to an open rearguard circle, and put that unit into the order zone at the end of that turn. So very similar to Freischutz Maximum, it does allow you to superior call this card as a unit to your board. Now, it's just a regular 10k unit on your board. It does have boost, so you can plop it in your front row or your back row. So this is usually the card that I operate off of Uber's operate ability. So that way I call this card to the front row, and it can basically just get an extra early attack without having to commit another card from my hand to my board in order to do so. So after that 1 attack with this unit card on turn 2, once it goes back into my order zone, usually I send it to the drop for Uber's cost when I ride into Welstra, and then shove it into my soul. So I don't usually use this card later in the game. You can use it as another superior call to try to get your 5 attack combo, even with only 1 copy of Maximum in play. However, again, this card is just a 10k on your board, so your opponent checking damage triggers can definitely screw that up very easily. So usually I don't bother with that play and just stick with Maximum for my offense and use this for that early extra attack and then that soul resource later. But overall, it is still a very important card, and definitely the one you want to grab from your deck with Strazer's ability if you don't already have it in your hand. So then lastly for the grade 1s, we have 1 copy of our last product set order, Incandescent Flame Cannon Abazal. So it just has its operate ability that says when this card is operated, you choose one of your opponent's front row rearguards and retire it, and if you did not retire a card, you draw a card and choose a card from your hand and discard it. So this card is not necessary at all. I'm pretty much just running it because of stubbornness. Its operate ability is okay. It can either take out one of their front row rearguards or give you a hand filter. So it's not anything real special. 99% of the time you're going to have something better to operate than this card. Again, Eingarten is definitely the priority as far as your grade 1 products go. So this card is not necessary at all if you want to replace this with absolutely anything else. A second copy of Eingarten or another unit card or whatever. You can absolutely do that. I mostly just kept it in because I felt like it. I don't even really have a good reason for it. If you draw into it later game, it's mostly just going to be discard fodder anyway. But yeah, I kept it in because I wanted to. So if you don't want to, feel free to replace it with literally anything else. So that is all the grade 1s. Moving on to the grade 0s, we just have our trigger lineup, which is 7 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal, and 1 over. So starting first with the crit triggers, we have 4 copies of Patrol Robo Decker Cop. So crit with a skill, at the end of the battle boosted, you put into your soul to give one of your units plus 2k until end of turn. So just another way to help refill that soul if you need to, and of course, you know, if you get stuck superior calling this off a Lubitz, it's a way to clear it off your board. So somewhat useful card in this deck. Additionally, we have 3 copies of Aurora Battle Princess Laura Cielo. So just your vanilla crit. Next, for the draws, we have 4 copies of Ameliorate Connector. So draw with a skill. If your opponent's Vanguard's greater or greater, get shield plus 5,000. So your 10k shield, a draw trigger. Next, for the heals, we have 4 copies of Aurora Battle Princess Treyu Screen. So your vanilla heal, of course, as always, if you want to run any effect heals, you can. And then lastly, for the over trigger, we have our 1 copy of Star Dragon Deity of Infinitude, Eldo Breath. So his additional effect lets you double the power and critical of all of your front row units until end of turn. So always an extremely dangerous skill, bumping up your front row to massive, massive numbers, and all of them at least 2 critical as well. So very, very dangerous card. So that is the deck. So we will go ahead and have our 1 fight with it. And I think we'll fight Doshi this time. And we will be going first.
Stand up, Vanguard.
Alright, so we'll discard Parfait, I guess, to ride, and then just end our turn. And I'll let that through. And we get a heal trigger, but we have nothing to heal. So that is wasted, unfortunately. Alright, so we'll discard Vakten, I guess, to ride Uber. And Strazer's ability will let us search out a grade 1 product, so we'll grab Eingarten. And then we'll go ahead and play Lubitz from our hand as well. And its ability will let us draw and soul charge. And we soul charge a draw trigger. So then we'll go ahead and use Uber's activate ability to Soul Blast one. And we can operate a product, so we'll operate Eingarten, which will let us superior call it as a 10k unit. So we'll put it in the front row, and then we'll just go ahead and attack with the Vanguard first. So then we'll attack with Eingarten.
ノーガードダメージチェックヒールトリガー
And he gets a heal trigger that is not wasted. So then at the end of the turn, Eingarten will return to our order zone.
スタンド&ドローライドスキル発動コールスキル発動パワープラスヴァンガードにアタック
And I'll let that one through.
ノーガードやってくれるダメージチェッククリティカルトリガー
And we get a crit trigger.
クリティカルプラスパワープラスヴァンガードにアタックスキル発動パワープラス
So let's see, he'll need a trigger for his last rigor to even hit us. So I'm gonna let this one through.
ノーガードドライブチェック
And no trigger, nice.
やってくれるダメージチェックドロートリガー
But we get a draw trigger.
パワープラス
So his last rigor definitely won't be able to hit us.
スタンド&ドロー
Alright, so we'll discard that draw
我が決断に迷いはないブリッツ CEO ベルトラにライド
to ride Welstra. And use Uber's ability to send a product from our order zone to the drop, so we'll send Eingarten,
スキル発動
which will let us search out a grade 2 product, so we'll grab FuRyu. And then Eingarten's ability
発動
will let us put it into either order zone or soul, so I'm going to shove it into the soul. So then we'll call Freiheit from our hand,
コール
use his ability to counterblast and discard one. So I guess I'll drop one of these Persona Ride copies,
スキル発動
and we will search out Freischut's maximum. And then we can go ahead and put it directly into our order zone from hand. So then I'm going to call Iskra
コール
over here. And we will go ahead and use her activate ability to counterblast and rest her.
発動
And we can operate a product, so we're going to operate
稼
Lubitzel,
働スキル発
which
動
will trigger Velstra's ability to give him an extra 5k. And then Lubitzel's skill to let us check the top 5. And we did find Perfei, so we'll go ahead and Superior call her,
スペリオルコール
even though we won't be able to use her ability. But we can move her to the front, and we'll have a more decent attacker. So then we will go ahead and attack with Perfei first, and I'm actually going to go after Travis here.
ノーガード
So then we'll attack with Freiheit,
ヴァンガードにアタック
and we'll use his ability, the Soul Blast 2.
スキル発動
And we can operate a product, so we will operate Freischut's maximum,
稼働スキル発動
and its ability will let us take out one of his rear guards, so we'll take out Gibra Brachio and lower his Vanguard's power by 5k. And then we will counterblast and bounce Perfei back to our hand. And we can Superior call Maximum as a unit card. And of course, Welstra gains another 5k since we operated another product.
ノーガードだダメージチェックヒールトリガーだ
And he gets a heal trigger, which he doesn't get, but he gets the power. So then we'll attack with Welstra and use his ability to operate another product. So we will operate Lupitzel, which again will power up Welstra by another 5k. And Lupitzel's skill will let us draw. And we get a heal trigger, which we do get, so we will heal 1. And we'll give that power to maximum. And he gets a crit trigger as well. But maximum still can potentially hit, so we'll attack with FuRyu maximum. And he guards. So now maximum will return to our order zone. And Eugene's skill lets him rest 2 of his rear guards and take out 1 of ours. And then he's going to Superior Call. And he built a somewhat decent board out of that. He'd had to call a trigger and a perfect guard. But he did get to take out our other rear guard as well with Gibber Brachio's skill, who restands himself. And I'll go ahead and guard that one with that heal. And I'll let that one through. He gets a crit trigger, so that's going to put us to 4. Oh, but we get a heal trigger, which we do not get. But we get the power. And let's see, I could guard that pretty easily, but I think I'm going to let it through too, just to have the extra damage. Alright, so now we can Persona Ride. Which will trigger the effect of FuRyu in our order zone, so we send it to the drop. And we can search out FuRyu maximum from our deck and put it into play. So we got 2 copies of it set up now. So we'll go ahead and play Lupitzel from our hand as well, which will let us draw again and Soul Charge. So then we'll call Perfei over here and use her ability to Counterblast and send FuRyu to the bottom of the deck. And draw 1 more time, and with perfect timing, we draw FuRyu. So we'll go ahead and call him as well, and use his ability to Counterblast and discard 1. So we'll discard that other maximum. And we will search out that Persona Ride copy for later. And then we'll call Bobo Mine, and we will put him... yeah, we'll put him behind Freiheit. And with that, I think we are good. So we will just go ahead and attack with Perfect first. And he guards. So then we'll attack with Freiheit, boosted by Bobo Mine. And we'll use his ability to Soul Blast too. And we will operate Maximum, which will trigger Welstra's ability to gain 5k. And Maximum's ability to let us take out one of his rear guards. So we'll take out Gibber Brachio and weaken his Vanguard by 5k. And then we'll Counterblast and bounce Perfect back to our hand. And Superior Call Maximum. Yeah, let's that one through. So then Bobo Mine skill will shove him into Soul and countercharge. So then we'll attack with Welstra and use Welstra's ability to operate again. So we'll operate our second copy of Maximum, which again will power up Welstra. And Maximum skill will once again let us retire, so we'll take out his other Intercept. And weaken his Vanguard by another 5k. So then we can also Counterblast and bounce Freiheit. And Superior Call our other Maximum as well to give us our full 5 attacks this turn against his 3k Vanguard. As he perfect guards. So then we'll attack with our left Maximum. Yeah, let's that one through. So then we'll attack with our right Maximum. Oh, and he perfect guarded again. So he did manage to survive, but just barely. So now both our Maximums will return to our order zone. Alright, so we'll go ahead and just perfect guard that with our Blitz order. And we will discard that draw trigger. This is the only attack he's going to get this turn, since he couldn't rebuild his board. Alright, so once again we can Persona Ride. So let's see, we will go ahead and call Freiheit once again. And we'll call Sordio as well. And I'll go ahead and plop Iskra down too, even though we won't be able to use her ability. We'll just use her as a booster. So with that, we will go ahead and attack with Sordio first. And he guards. So then we'll attack with Freiheit. And we can use his ability to Soul Blast 2. And we will operate Freiheit's Maximum, which will trigger Welstra's ability to gain 5k. And then Sordio's ability to Soul Blast 1. And let us countercharge. Just in time for Maximum's ability to take out one of his rear guards, weaken his Vanguard, and counterblast to bounce Sordio and Superior Call. Oh, and he guards with his over trigger. And we don't have another way to countercharge, so we're only going to get 4 attacks this turn, but we will attack with Welstra. And we can still use his ability. And we will operate Maximum once again. And we won't get the Superior Call off of it. But we can still strengthen Welstra. And weaken his Vanguard. And take out his last rear guard. And he's got to let it through. And we got him with that one. So there you go, that was version 2 of my Welstra deck. I do like the upgrade this deck has received. It is a lot more powerful now, letting you get a much better offensive push with Freiheit's ability. So anyway, I'll be back soon with more deck profiles. Next up, I'll be doing my Azel deck, another encounter deck. So until then, I guess that's all for this video. So lots of luck to you and yours.